Good. You are a rowdy bunch. Full of yourselves. Good thing. Now what?
Hello.
Yeah?
I wasn't planning on this, but I'm meant to be here. And my question is about how ironic, the wobble. And I met you, been here before, about 6 months ago, and you talked a lot about the wobble, which I greatly appreciated. It helped me when I'm very aligned and so grounded, and I get myself into the hook. So I've shared the wobble with others, and my question is, can you share any other insights on how to keep from the hook? When others, you're there, you're grounded, you're so aligned. I'm 99% of the time there. And then I get the hook.
Well, when you are understanding what she means,
Sorry.
well, the wobble is knowing what you do want, knowing what you don't want, introducing enough of it into your vibration that you just keep yourself from being stable. But tell them what you mean by the hook.
So I am completely and utterly moving and grooving in the right direction. Over the years, I've done so much work. I feel amazing. Everything is amazing. And then all of a sudden, I'll use a simple example, gossip. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. There's so much in the world, specifically in the area I live, with the mommies, and I don't want to hear it. And then someone will say something that intrigues me and gets me, and then I'll start vibrating at a lower level. Can you believe she was sleeping with so-and-so? And then I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being very serious. And then I want to just beat myself up, and I don't for a few seconds, and I get over it quickly, but they hooked me. I hooked myself.
Well, first let us say that you don't get hooked unless there's some wobble in your experience. Because whatever's coming to you is coming in response to some vibration that you've got going on. But we know what you're talking about because let's start in another place. Let's say that the hook that you are describing, now you are getting what she means. The point at which you feel like you're holding on to your connection, you're holding on, and then it just starts tipping fast. Well, what that is really is momentum. And so the best response that we have to you comes from a question and answer that someone else asked a while ago. It's our favorite question, and it was our favorite answer. This person wanted to know, how does one get rid of doubt? And we said, you do it before you get it, which was totally annoying. Because once you've got it, you've got it. So Abraham, how do I get rid of it? Don't tell me that I get rid of it before I've got it, because I've already got it. So now what do I do? And that's when we began talking about how when you sleep, momentum subsides. So do you accept that this inner being part of you exists, and that as you are launching those rockets through life, that you are vibrationally becoming as that source energy being? Well, that's momentum. That's momentum that you can really trust once you start hanging around in the vibrational vicinity of it. But you also have habits of thoughts. When you think a thought, that thought offers a vibration, and other thoughts like it come to it. In 17 seconds, there is an actualization of a thought. In other words, that's all it takes, just 17 seconds before a thought becomes strong enough with enough momentum that it attracts other vibrations to it. So another 17 seconds, more momentum, another 17 seconds, more momentum. And when you cross the 68-second mark, there's momentum, and we would call that the hook. There's enough momentum there that who you are is challenged. Now, it doesn't seem like all that you are from all eternity should be challenged by a 68-second gossiping conversation. But when you focus upon it this day and that day and that day and that day and that day, without even knowing it, you develop these patterns of vibration that are very easy for you to pick up on again and again and again. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. A belief is just a pattern or a habit of thought. So the simple fact of the matter is, you have beliefs within you that serve you, and you have beliefs within you that don't serve you. And every now and again, you'll get hooked. But what if you were getting hooked so that you could work the bugs out of something that doesn't serve you? What if this negative feeling that you have, what if it's not you doing something wrong? What if it's you answering another request that you've got to work all the bugs out of who you are and really become who you are? What if you're wanting to put yourself in a conscious place where you are realizing that you are an uplifter, not a detractor, and that you want to be of value, not of disvalue? What if you want to praise rather than criticize? And so what if you've still got, and everyone does, have some pieces of resistance? What if this is your opportunity to come to an even stronger feeling about it and decision about it? So now, when you go to bed after that happened that day, say to yourself, while I sleep tonight, all momentum is going to subside, and it is not necessary for me to carry forth from this moment forward, from this night's sleep forward, vibrational patterns that don't serve me. And tomorrow, if there are some, I want to be aware of them. And that's what your negative emotion shows you. It shows you the patterns of resistance that do not serve you. Don't you want to be aware of those? You've got sensors in your fingertips and the stove is hot, and you don't say, I'm going to ignore my sensors. Just think it's weak and unnecessary to have sensors in my fingers. I'm just going to lay on this hot stove. You don't do that, because you know if you do, it's going to get worse. Worse and worse and worse and worse. The longer you keep acting within yourself something that is in opposition to who you really are, the more you're going to attract it. But a better way of saying it is the more momentum is going to happen. And the more momentum that happens, then the greater that momentum has, is a greater challenge to your alignment. And so, yes, there are things that are interesting. There are things that are interesting that don't serve you in that sense. But you're at the point now that every time that happens, you feel it and you know it. And you know the disadvantage that you're offering to yourself and anyone else that you're playing with in that moment about it. And so sometimes Esther says to herself on a regular basis, I'm becoming a vibrational snob. And it doesn't mean that she's not harboring negative emotion, and it doesn't mean that she can't get into a complaining session just like anyone else. But what it does mean is it feels awful to her when it happens. What it does mean is the path of least resistance is lighting up for her in a stronger and stronger way. And what she's deciding is, it's perfectly appropriate for me to move in directions other than that sort of conversation. In other words, if that's what they're talking about every time we're together, then I'm going to go someplace else. Now, that's a little tricky, because law of attraction, when you make your decision to go someplace else, law of attraction will give you someplace else just like the place you just were. And so then you start thinking the world is crazy. Is everybody acting the same way? But in all of this, it's given you greater resolve, stronger determination, and more resources to begin focusing more upon the things that feel good to you. And then in time, those experiences become fewer and fewer. You see, it's not your job. We don't want you to join a group and teach them how to behave. That's not what we're encouraging. But we don't want them to teach you how to behave either. In other words, and nobody's really doing that, because as someone said clearly today, I do create my own reality. But if you could take away from this conversation, the way most humans are creating their own reality is by observing, offering a vibration, and then attracting more, and then saying, see, it is true. Law of attraction will prove your opinions. That's why you're so sure you're right, because law of attraction keeps proving your opinions. Esther will say, but Abraham, it's true. And we'll say, what's that got to do with anything? There are all kinds of things that are true that you don't want to experience, and kinds of things that are true. We wouldn't let the fact that it's a reality for someone be the criteria that we used about whether it was activated in our experience or not. We would let the way it feels be the criteria about how far down that path we are wanting to go. And so you might say to friends when they get there, oh, I'm getting hooked in to some old stuff that I used to do. And while I'll admit, girls, it is kind of fun to go down this path a little bit, I got to tell you, I felt better before we got there. Can we go back? Can we go back to before we were talking about this? Can we get to something that feels better? And little by little, you will wake up in the morning with less of what you had active yesterday active within you, until before you know it, you are new unto the universe, and the universe can show you, as it always is, who you really are. But who you really are and the evidence of who you really are is changing constantly, you see.